Part 2. Chapter 37. Layla opened her eyes to a black sky. She'd collapsed. Her head had started to pound, thoughts drowned out by a terrible thud, thud, thud. And then her knees had given out. She remembered leaning against an edge, feeling the cold of his sweat-soaked tunic. A green sky, and that was it. Now, she looked at stars and sand. Layla sat up, hands grasping for her sword, for an edge, but there was nothing except a sea of sand rising and falling like hills. She scrambled to her feet, unsteady as the sand shifted beneath her boots. Turning, she tried to get her bearings, to find Watchful or the Navita Mountains in the distance. There was nothing, only miles of sand beneath the night sky. There were no clouds, no trees, no mountains on the far horizon. "Oh, I'm dead," she said. "I'm dead." She said the words with finality, certainty. It was the only explanation. "I'm dead," she said again, louder this time, just so she could hear her own words. Utter silence, not even the whistling of the wind. It didn't help, with not even an echo. She only felt even more alone when her words faded into the sand dunes around her. Fear loomed over her shoulder, tangible in its weight. She wrapped her arms around herself to ward it off. Some of these hills of sand rose higher than others, and some blocked her vision of parts of the horizon. Maybe if she climbed one, she'd see a city, mountain, or something else. Maybe the afterlife had people and a civilization. Maybe she wasn't even dead. She knew if she did nothing, her mind would eat her alive. With a at no one in particular, Layla marched off toward the tallest of the sandhills, determined to scale it and find an ounce of hope. Getting up the sandy incline felt like playing in one of Watchful's small grain silos. For every 5 steps, she lost 2. Worse than that, she got nowhere if she didn't crouch down and climb on all 4s, sticking her hands up to their wrists into the hillside. Beneath the top layer of sand, though, it was surprisingly firm. As she climbed, sand made its way into her boots, through the neck of her tunic, and into her mouth. It got everywhere and in everything. She had never seen so much of it before, hadn't known so much could exist. Her mind wandered as she went, juggling around the idea this might actually be the afterlife. More than likely, she'd gotten hit by a sword slash or lightning strike so fast she couldn't even remember. Then her life had been snuffed out, as quick as a candle flame. "Well," she said aloud, still craving sound. "Why did damnation have to be a bloody desert?" Layla muttered. Bloody. Layla faltered at the word. Memories swirled about her, and for a single moment those memories were more real to her than the sand she stared at as she climbed. They were terrible memories, ones she already wanted to forget. On impulse, she lifted one hand from the sand and looked at it intently for the first time since waking up. Blood had dried beneath the nails and in the grooves of her palm. The sand had worn some away, but she knew. She was a killer now. The top of the hill was but a thin line of sand, and so standing proved hard. She had to place one foot on each side of the hill, adjusting every few moments due to the shifting sand. Eventually, she managed a shaky equilibrium, and then she looked out at the horizon. Starlight illuminated everything, which meant the world was pale and dark in an alluring way which made her want to walk on and on forever. She hadn't noticed until now, but the sky had no moon, only those numberless stars. No city or mountains dotted the horizon, only sand. It rolled on and on as far as she could see, never broken. The weight of it brought Layla to her knees, pressed down as if by a millstone. The world turned and shifted as tears welled in her eyes. Her breathing grew husky and ragged, her mind rolling around one single thought: I'm alone. Her tears wet her tunic and the sand beneath her. Snot filled her nostrils until her breathing became the gasps between sobs. Her body shook, and small ripples of sand fell down the hill beneath her, knocked loose by her own frantic rocking. Back and forth, she moved rhythmically. Oblivion would have been better, a true nothingness, a non-existence. But this, alone, left to wander? She let out a pain-filled scream, grabbing and hurling sand all around her. It was too much. She had killed to stay alive, but died anyways, and death was loneliness. Would it be for eternity? Or could she die again? She shoved her face into the sand, letting the grains fill her nose and form to every crevice and line. She would not breathe. She would force herself to die again and again until nothingness won out. She did not know what she deserved as an afterlife, but she knew she could not endure to be alone, not forever. Her body convulsed. It wanted air. Her head and chest swelling with the desire. She would not give in. She would not stay here in this world of sand and emptiness. It was oppressive, and she wanted out. She wanted to be gone, to be free, and her mouth opened, and she sucked in sand and air. Jerking backward, she gagged and coughed, air pulsing through her lungs in an angry and violent revulsion. She kept crying. She had never stopped. She could not die, and yet she could not live, and so she cried all the more. An hour or more went by before the tears dried up and the rush of emotions ebbed away, leaving her numb. She looked to the stars, wiping her eyes. They were beautiful. Incredibly bright pinpoints of light that pulsed and moved. Her head drifted downward, and eventually she looked back to the far horizon and paused. In the distance, she saw a little shadow, faint but distinct. She squinted, and one last tear welled up in her eyes, the water magnifying her vision for just an instant. A tree. It was a tree. And then the tear ran from her eye, and the tree disappeared, leaving nothing more than a distant black dot on the horizon. Layla staggered to her feet and began walking.